We control nothing. Some people don't like to hear that at all. And when I first explored this a little bit, I broke it down to what is the absolute thing that I feel like I control. Okay, we don't control the weather, certain events, etc., etc. But I got it down to thoughts. Well, clearly I have control of my thoughts. Science and research are catching up, and this has been going on for years. But I'll post some links to research in the description. But science is showing that we don't control our thoughts. Now, there is a lot of resistance, and even in some of these scientific reports, they're very careful with how they word it. We don't control our thoughts as much as we once thought we did. Well, today I'm going to go through a quick exercise to maybe help show that is the case. The reason there's so much resistance is that people, the notion that we don't have free will scares people, scares egos, scares the body mind, that there is no control. And yet, some of the same people that might have resistance to that, everyone's had a song stuck in their head that they couldn't get out. So if you can control your thoughts, why not just not think of that song? Or if you can control your thoughts, why not just think positive thoughts all the time? So for this exercise, if you'll indulge me, I'm going to have you close your eyes, and I'll close them with you. And we'll do that now. And we'll do this 3 separate times. So close your eyes, and I want you to think of a spoon and a fork. And on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, go, I want you to think of one of those things. So think of a spoon and a fork. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay? So think of what you chose. Now consider what it was that chose the spoon or the fork. Now what tends to happen is, and the reason I chose a spoon and a fork is that I didn't want to choose colors because people have, they might have favorites, or even people's names, because they might, if I said Tom and John, maybe someone has an affinity towards a Tom and they don't like a John that they met in their life. But with a spoon and a fork, maybe you have a preference, but it's the most neutral thing I could think of. If you consider what it was that chose the spoon or the fork, it's something prior to it was prior to consciousness that came up and made that decision. So we'll try it again. Close your eyes. Think of a spoon and a fork, and on the count of 3, make a choice. 1, 2, 3, choose. What did you pick that time? Was it different? Was it the same? I'm not going to ask why, because your mind, your body mind, your ego will come up with the reason why you chose. Well, I just wanted it to be opposite, or I wanted to be consistent. It's irrelevant what the reason was. It just happened. Our true nature is prior to our thoughts. It's prior even to consciousness. Even though in many cases, using the phrase consciousness to describe what this is helpful. But as Nisargadatta Maharaj said, if it can be perceived or conceived, discard it. If it can be perceived or conceived, then that's not it. It's prior to that. So we'll go one more time. Close your eyes. 1, 2, 3, choose. Now, what you chose and its differentiation or similarities to what you chose before, it doesn't really matter. But be honest with yourself here. When those choices were made, was it really you choosing, or was it some sort of other thought that just arose to make that choice? Now, one of the scientific experiments that that I read about, it was a while ago, but and I'll see if I can find a link to this specific one, is scientists were asking people to press a button, and they were able to see anywhere from a second to, I believe, 10 seconds in advance of the decision being made to press a button. And I believe it was either right hand or left hand, or there was a red button and a green button. But they were able to see from a second to 10, up to 10 seconds prior to that choice being made, that it happened. In a video that I saw with Wolinski, where he talks a little bit about this, and this was several years ago, he mentioned that there were scientists in Germany that were stimulating parts of the brain that would make someone laugh. And they knew that the stimulation in the brain was what made the person laugh, but when they asked them about it, the participant would say, "Oh, I just thought of something funny." So the mind was coming in later and taking credit for that. They did the same thing with their, an arm raised. I'll put a link to that video. I really enjoy Stephen Wolinski's videos. If I can find that one specifically, that's definitely worth watching. But anyway, I wanted to go through that exercise, and maybe this didn't blow you away. Maybe it's really cool, but I would encourage you throughout your day, just notice when decisions are made, when you're at a restaurant and you're placing an order and you're making a decision. And even better, when you're caught in between two decisions and you can't decide, do I want to get the sandwich or get a salad or whatever? Pay attention and observe what it is that actually is making that decision. What you may find is that our true nature, what we really are, the big self, not the little self, is the thing that is making those decisions. They're just arising. Now, some scientists and others would say that there's conditioning that happens as well, and whether it's cultural or genetics that help drive the decisions that are being made. But even in that context, it's still not you making the decision. If this is terrifying, if there's resistance to that idea, to that notion, that's okay. It's natural. Here, there was a natural resistance to that at first also, especially being sort of an power of positive thinking person, reading books, watching videos, motivational speeches, things like that. So, and also an ex-law of attraction person, where I felt that I had this element of magical thinking. I could will things into existence. I could manifest them just by concentrating on them. And this, for better or worse, it's neither, honestly, shatters all of that. So of course there's resistance in some that this isn't true, that this isn't our true nature. But it's actually the opposite. It lets you off the hook. There are no bad decisions. You can't make a bad decision, just like you can't make a good decision. Decisions happen. They just happen. They arise out of consciousness into consciousness as a happening. and things happen. There's a freedom in that. It's the ultimate freedom. And it is just what is.